The coffee was still hot when my father spread the moving schedule across my dining room table. My mother sat beside him, already measuring my guest room with her eyes. My brother Marcus stood by the window, arms crossed, wearing that familiar smirk that said he'd already won. "We've been very reasonable about this, Diane," Mom said, her tone suggesting I should be grateful. "Most families would have made this decision years ago. This house is far too large for one person." I sipped my latte and said nothing. The Saturday morning sun filtered through the windows of my 4-bedroom craftsman home in the Riverside district, illuminating the hardwood floors I'd refinanced to afford, the custom built-ins I'd designed myself, the garden visible through French doors that I'd planted with my own hands. "Marcus needs the master bedroom," Dad continued, not looking at me. "His back problems require a ground floor room. You can take the smallest bedroom upstairs. It's perfectly adequate for your needs." "My needs," I repeated quietly. "Don't start with that tone," Mom snapped. "You've been selfish about this property from the beginning. Your grandmother wanted this house to stay in the family, not be hoarded by one person." Marcus finally spoke. "I've already hired movers for next Saturday. Christina and the kids will arrive on Sunday. We'll need you to clear your personal items from the master by Friday." I looked at my 34-year-old brother who'd been fired from his third sales job in 2 years, whose wife had a shopping addiction that had bankrupted them twice, whose children attended private school they couldn't afford. I looked at my parents, both retired comfortably on pensions, who'd spent the last decade telling everyone how successful Marcus was while introducing me as our daughter who does something with computers. "What about rent?" I asked. Dad's face reddened. "Rent? This is a family home, Diane. Family doesn't charge family rent. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you for even suggesting it." "Grandma Rose left this house to the family trust," Mom added. "That means all of us. We've been more than patient letting you live here alone for 5 years, but Marcus's family needs space now. His needs outweigh your selfish desire for privacy." I had been 27 when Grandma Rose died. I remembered sitting in her hospital room while my parents and Marcus argued in the cafeteria about selling her house to fund Marcus's latest business venture. I remembered her squeezing my hand and whispering, "I took care of it, sweetheart. Don't let them bully you." "The family trust," I said slowly. "Right. We've already spoken to Father Mike about this," Mom said, pulling out the religious guilt card she'd been saving. "He agrees that family unity is sacred. He said you should consider what Jesus would do." "Jesus would share," Marcus added as if that settled everything. My father pulled out a handwritten document, 3 pages of legal-sounding language that he'd clearly drafted himself. "We've drawn up a household agreement. You'll contribute $1,500 monthly for utilities and food. You'll have kitchen access between 6 and 7 a.m. and after 8 p.m. The main living areas will be for family use. That means Marcus's family. You're welcome to join us for family dinners on Sundays." $1,500, I said. "To rent a bedroom in my own house." "Your attitude is exactly why we need to have this conversation," Mom said. "You've never understood family responsibility. Marcus has 3 children. 3. You have no one. Where's your compassion?" I thought about my position as senior software architect at TechCore Industries, the job I'd held for 6 years that paid $240,000 annually. I thought about the consulting work I did on weekends that brought in another $80,000. I thought about the investment portfolio I'd built that had recently crossed 7 figures. My family thought I made maybe $50,000 annually doing computer stuff. "Have you told Christina about the house rules?" I asked Marcus. He waved dismissively. "Christina understands family comes first. Unlike some people, she values what's truly important. She's looking forward to hosting Thanksgiving here this year," Mom added. "Finally, a proper family holiday in the family home. Your solo Thanksgivings have been depressing." I'd spent last Thanksgiving volunteering at a tech literacy program I'd founded for underprivileged teenagers. The year before, I'd been in Tokyo consulting for a Fortune 500 company. But my family had never asked. "When did you speak to Christina?" I asked. "Last week," Marcus said. "We had dinner at that new steakhouse downtown. She's already planning the bedroom arrangements. The boys will share the second bedroom, Lily gets the third, and we discussed converting your home office into a playroom." "My home office? where I conducted video conferences with clients across 3 continents, where I designed the software architecture that had won me industry recognition my family knew nothing about. The moving truck arrives at 9 a.m. next Saturday, Dad said, standing up. We expect you to be cooperative. No drama, no theatrics. This is what's best for the family. I'll need to make some calls, I said. Calls. Mom's eyes narrowed. You're not going to try to cause problems, are you? Because we'll involve Father Mike if necessary. And your Aunt Carol agrees with us. The whole family agrees that Marcus's needs come first. No problems, I said quietly. Just some arrangements I need to make. After they left, I sat in my living room for a long time. Then I called my attorney, Elizabeth Chen, who'd handled Grandma Rose's estate and had become a friend over the years. They're coming next Saturday? She asked after I explained. 9 a.m. Moving truck and everything. Have they seen the actual trust documents? They haven't asked. They've assumed for 5 years that the house was left to a family trust. That we all own it equally. But your grandmother left the house solely to you. With a stipulation that I not tell anyone for 5 years, to see if they'd respect my claim without knowing the truth. Elizabeth's voice held barely contained fury. And they failed that test spectacularly. I'll prepare everything. How do you want to handle this? I want it documented, I said. Every moment. Saturday morning arrived with crystalline clarity. I'd taken the week off work, telling my boss I was handling a family legal matter. My CEO had personally granted the leave, mentioning again how TechCore couldn't afford to lose me to a competitor. The moving truck arrived at 9 sharp. Marcus directed the movers with the confidence of ownership, pointing at my furniture like he was rearranging his own possessions. That couch goes to storage, he told them. We're bringing our leather sectional. It's much nicer. Mom and Christina sorted through my kitchen cabinets, boxing up my dishes and replacing them with Christina's collection. You really should invest in quality cookware, Diane, Christina said, holding up my all-clad skillet with disdain. This cheap stuff won't last. The skillet had cost $400. I said nothing. Dad supervised the bedroom transition, directing movers to carry my belongings into the smallest upstairs room. This is cozy, he said as if doing me a favor. Very cozy. At 11 a.m. my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Elizabeth Chen, another attorney named Robert Martinez, and Judge Patricia Hoffman, who'd been Grandma Rose's closest friend and had volunteered to deliver the legal documentation personally. Good morning, Diane, Judge Hoffman said warmly. I believe we have some documents to review. The moving stopped. Marcus turned from directing traffic. What's going on? Family meeting, I said. Everyone in the dining room. Now. My family gathered slowly, suspicion on every face. The movers stood awkwardly in the hallway. Elizabeth opened her briefcase and spread documents across the table. Property deed. Trust documents. Legal ownership papers. Each one bearing official seals and signatures. My name is Elizabeth Chen, representing Diane Morrison in matters related to the Rose Morrison estate, she began. This is Robert Martinez, specializing in property law, and Judge Patricia Hoffman, who is here as executor witness to the estate settlement. We know about the estate, Dad interrupted. Rose left the house to the family trust. Actually, Judge Hoffman said, her voice carrying the weight of decades on the bench, Rose Morrison left no such trust. She left this property free and clear, solely to her granddaughter Diane. She slid the property deed across the table. My name alone in clear legal text. Mom's face went white. That's not possible. She wouldn't. Rose Morrison specifically excluded all other family members from any claim to this property, Elizabeth continued. She created a detailed will filed with the county, notarized and witnessed, leaving her entire estate, this house, all furnishings and a monetary inheritance, solely to Diane. That's not legal, Marcus sputtered. You can't just cut out family. You absolutely can, Robert Martinez said. And Mrs. Morrison was very clear about her reasons. She documented concerns about family members attempting to exploit Diane and specifically wanted this property protected. Judge Hoffman looked at each of my family members in turn. Rose was my friend for 40 years. She watched how you treated Diane. The dismissal, the favoritism toward Marcus, the constant minimization of Diane's achievements. She made her decision accordingly. But we've been planning, Christina started. Your planning was based on false assumptions, Elizabeth said. Diane has been the sole legal owner of this property for 5 years. You have no claim, no right to residency, and no legal standing whatsoever. I finally spoke. You've been living under my tolerance. I never told you I owned the house because Grandma Rose wanted to see if you'd respect me without knowing the truth. You failed. You're our daughter, Mom whispered. You wouldn't evict you. I pulled out the legal notice Elizabeth had prepared. You're not residents. You have no lease. You have no tenancy agreement. You're trespassers attempting to illegally occupy my private property. Marcus's face went from red to purple. You can't do this. I have children. We've already given notice on our apartment. That's unfortunate, Robert said, but not legally relevant. You attempted to seize control of property that doesn't belong to you, based on false assumptions you never bothered to verify. The movers, I said calmly, will now remove all items you brought into my house. You have 2 hours to collect your belongings and leave the property. Any items remaining after that will be considered abandoned. Diane, please, Dad's voice cracked. We're family. Family, I repeated. You were going to charge me $1,500 to rent a bedroom in my own house. You were taking my master bedroom. You were converting my office into a playroom. You never once asked if I agreed to any of this. Judge Hoffman stood. I'm here as witness that proper legal notice has been served. I strongly advise you to comply immediately. Resisting will result in law enforcement involvement and potential criminal trespassing charges. Christina burst into tears. Where are we supposed to go? Perhaps, Elizabeth said coldly, you should have considered that before terminating your apartment lease and assuming you could steal someone else's home. They left. The movers reversed their work, carrying boxes and furniture back to the truck. My parents couldn't look at me. Marcus tried one last threat about family consequences, until Robert mentioned that documented attempted property theft could involve civil litigation. Within 3 hours my house was mine again. Over the next week, I learned the consequences had spread wider than I'd imagined. Aunt Carol, who'd supported Marcus's claim, was horrified when she heard the truth and stopped speaking to my parents. Father Mike, when informed of the actual facts, gave my parents a stern lecture about bearing false witness. The family that had stood with Marcus slowly backed away as word spread about the attempted theft. Marcus and Christina moved in with her parents, cramming 5 people into a 2-bedroom condo. Marcus lost his newest job when his employer heard about the legal incident. Mom and Dad faced social humiliation at their retirement community, where Judge Hoffman's friends shared the story widely. I changed my locks, installed a security system, and updated my will to ensure the house would go to a youth technology charity, never to my family. My phone rang occasionally. Mom crying, Dad trying to negotiate, Marcus alternating between rage and pleading. I blocked their numbers. Elizabeth sent me a final letter from Grandma Rose, held in escrow to be delivered after the 5-year test. My darling Diane, it read. If you're reading this, they tried to take what I gave you. I'm not surprised. I'm only sorry I won't be there to see you stand up for yourself. You were always the strong one. They just never noticed. Keep the house. Fill it with joy. And remember that real family doesn't need to steal from you. Love always, Grandma Rose. I framed the letter and hung it in my office, where I continued building software, mentoring teenagers, and living my life in the home that had always been mine. The house has never felt empty. It's full of work I love, projects that matter, and the absolute certainty that I will never let anyone make me small again. They thought they were claiming a family home. They learned they'd tried to steal from someone who'd been protecting what was rightfully hers all along. The eviction notice did arrive with coffee. And with justice. 3 months later, Marcus sent a final email. They were moving out of state, away from the judgment and whispers. Christina's parents had demanded they leave. The strain had destroyed what was left of their marriage. I hope you're happy, the email read. You destroyed this family over a house. I didn't respond. Instead, I hosted the first graduation ceremony for my tech literacy program in my living room. 15 teenagers who'd learned coding, web design, and software architecture celebrated with their families. Several had already received job offers. One told me I'd changed her life. That same week, I received an industry award for innovative software design. The ceremony was attended by tech leaders from across the country. My CEO gave a speech about my contributions, mentioning the mentorship program I'd built and funded personally. I posted one photo from the event on social media. Not for my family, I'd blocked them all. But for myself. Proof that the daughter they'd dismissed as doing something with computers had built something that mattered. My Aunt Carol sent flowers with a note. Rose would be so proud. I'm sorry we didn't see you clearly. Some apologies come too late to matter. The house remained mine. Every room filled with purpose, achievement, and the quiet satisfaction of never again being made small by people who should have celebrated me. They tried to take my home. Instead they lost everything.